It looks like we've got some really exciting news guys about the fourth core and specifically about episode 46. That's the 6th episode of the final part. Yes, it seems the production at the studio is reaching advanced stages, from dubbing work to selecting, opening and ending themes, and other details that are already boosting our hype for what's to come in the fourth core. So guys, without wasting any more time, let's get straight to it. And let's start with these words from Kubo about the opening and ending themes. He confirmed that they have reached the final stage of selection for both, but he didn't stop there. He also said he trusts the team to do an amazing job with the cuts and visuals that will go along with the songs. And as you know guys, ever since it was announced that Thousand Year Road War arc will get animated, Kubo has had his hand on everything. He's literally supervising the entire production, including the choice of bands for the OP and ED, and now it seems they finally decided on them and maybe even finished the storyboards for both. That's why Kubo is confident the animation team will perfectly blend the songs with the visuals. Of course, Kubo's trust also comes with big responsibility for the team, because everyone now knows this is the final core of season 2. So expectations are naturally sky high. I really hope Aqua Chimes makes a return for either the opening or ending. This band's career is deeply tied to Bleach. Sure, I heard some rumors that they disbanded, but I would love for them to come back just to give us one last song that immortalizes Bleach in the final part. After all, Aqua Chimes gave us unforgettable memories, whether it's Veronica, Alone's, the first movie's theme song, or even the last ending of season 1. And so that's the update on the opening and ending. Now for the next piece of news that sparked a lot of discussion. The images Kubo shared from the dubbing room. As you know, Kubo is always present during everything, even the dubbing sessions. In these images we can see episode 46 written along with the letter E. That E is mostly likely the start of the episode title, and most fans believe the title will be either the end or the end of the two words. And these are all actual chapter titles from the final volume, volume 74. So if episode 46 really has one of these titles, that means it will adapt chapter 479 to 471, which lines up perfectly since it's the 6th episode of the core. And let's do some quick calculation to understand this better. Episode 46 reaching those chapters is completely normal. Remember guys, the last episode of Core 3 already covered chapter 661, where Ichigo heads to face Yuabach in the final battle. Yes, episode 40 skipped some scenes, like Jirard's clash with the Visors and Toshiro, and even pulled scenes from much later chapters, like Ishin and Ryuken's appearance from chapter 675. But if we assume the studio adapts 3-4 chapters per episode, which is a pretty standard pacing, then it makes sense for episode 46 to reach around chapter 481. I mean guys, the studio has even been adapting 5-6 chapters in some episodes. So honestly guys, 3.5 chapters per episode feels reasonable and would even leave space for additions. And we already know this fourth core will be packed with anime only content. However guys, here is the big question that nobody can answer yet. Will the anime stick exactly to the manga events or will it expand them? Because the remaining battles are huge. Orohara Kizuki vs Asuka Naklovar, and Kubo already posted images from the script of that fight. So it might actually be the first fight we see. And maybe we'll even get flashbacks to Orohara Kizuki and Irichi's past. It wouldn't take more than a couple of chapters and could easily fit in. Then we have Jirard vs Zaraki, Toshiro and Byakuya with new additions. It seems like the Visors will fight Jirard first, but you know, they are the Visors, so they will automatically lose and we will see the beginning of the fight of the trio against Jirard. Then comes Uryu vs Hatchfeld, which concludes in chapter 681, while Jirard's end happens in chapter 680. So if episode 46 adapts up to that point, then by episode 6 of the core would already be done with all the side battles, leaving only the final shutdown, Aizen, Ichigo and Renji vs Yuabach. And that's where things get really mysterious. I mean, for example, if this fight started around episode 10, it might last 2 episodes, leaving 2 more episodes for the post-battle events and the final 2 chapters of the manga. Especially when we notice that episode 46 might also feature the voice actors of Soifon and Omaida. And honestly, I think their inclusion will just be for a few extra scenes, probably showing the reactions of the characters after Ichigo's defeat and Yuaba's complete takeover of the worlds. The anime has already given us reaction shots and character moments that didn't exist in the manga, so this could be another case where they expand things a little, with Soifon and Omaida witnessing the turning point. But as I said, here is the bigger question I mentioned earlier. If the war really ends by episode 6 or 7, what about the rest of the core? Will we see adaptations of the light novels like Can't Fear Onward or Will Not Always Love You? It could work in terms of timeline. I mean, Can't Fear Onward takes place 6 months later. Will Not Always Love You is set 3 years later. And then the last 2 manga chapters take place 10 years later. So technically, it is possible. But on the other hand, I personally believe the final battle might evolve in a completely new direction, reshaping the story and extending the war even further, especially with characters like Isshin and Ryuken potentially getting more spotlight, and maybe even the introduction of brand new characters. Who knows? Because we can expect everything, guys, since half of the core will be new additions. The important thing, guys, in my personal opinion, is that these additions should serve the story and blend with it. They shouldn't just be additions for the sake of adding content, because some events were removed. For example, the pacing in some episodes was rushed only to make room for these additional episodes. That's why I really hope these additions will have a positive impact on the story. And I'm convinced that some of them will close certain storylines, allowing us to finally know all the secrets, while other storylines will remain open, either to be continued later through the manga or simply left the way to keep the door of mystery open, because that's one of Kubo's beloved habits. So to wrap everything up, guys, episode 46 looks like a turning point, possibly adapting up to chapter 481. Kubo has confirmed the opening and ending are in final selection, and he is fully involved in making sure they perfectly match the visuals. This part could expand existing fights with anime-only content, especially Urahara's fight, Jirard's fight, and Hajfeld's battle. And after those, the focus shifts to the final shutdown with Aizen Ichigo against Yuaba. And finally, there is the big mystery of whether the anime will adapt novels or stick to the manga or take the story into a new road. One thing is certain, guys. This fourth core is shaping up to be the most intense, emotional, and unpredictable part of Bleach yet. And honestly, guys, I cannot wait to see what surprises are waiting for us. In the end, guys, what do you think about this news? Tell me, guys, your opinions in the comments, and see you guys in my next video.